It's me, Mario! Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for coming over. Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this video I'll be reacting to one of the early uploads from the YouTube channel The Game Theorists. I'm a huge fan of their work. I hope that you will like this video as well. Wait, is it really that early? Because this video came out in the year 2018, so it is around 4 years ago. So yeah. Anyways, this video is about Mario! Yeah! And I hope that you enjoy this video as much as I do. Let's go! Oh.
Mr. MatPat, how many moons does it take to get to New Dog City? Let's find out. A 1.
1.
A 2.
A 2.
A 3.
20 minutes later.
46.
6.
47. 48. 48 sugary moons. Now if you'll excuse me, I don't feel too well.
Oh, he should have used the yeah, if it's 2-0, he should have used the Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good.
Welcome to Game Theory.
Hello.
The funky mode to all of gaming's most complicated issues.
New funky modes.
Today we're going to be strapping in and launching ourselves into Super Mario Odyssey, one of the most satisfying and confusing Mario worlds I've ever had to experience. I mean, you have a kingdom of rainbow forks right next to Nintendo's version of Dark Souls. Then, because of Mario's canon height of 5'1", the people of New Dong City are well over 10 feet tall. But of course, Wario isn't in the game, so I can't prove once and for all that my calculations from 4 years ago weren't as insane as they initially sounded, okay?
Mario is 10 feet tall.
But you know, arguably the most fascinating part of this game has to do with the very last location you go to. The moon. Not because of the dark side stages or the boss rush, but because when you actually sit down and do the math, the moon is proven to be the single biggest threat to Mario. Nay, I say the entire Mushroom Kingdom. Forget Bowser and his petty little schemes to marry Princess Peach, that is nothing. This thing right here is a threat scarier than anything Nintendo has ever cooked up. We're talking Majora's Mask levels of planet-wide moon-based catastrophe here, people. But to truly understand why this thing, the moon, is such a menace to Mario in this game, we're gonna have to do some math. So get ready, theorists. Let's crack open some formulas and break out the TI-84s.
TI-84!
Yeah, 84s. We gotta bust out the big guns.
No, not TI-84, TI-84. It is TI-84 plus.
Today, because here we go off the rails to explore the great wide wacky world of Mario astrophysics.
Wait, what? Astrophysics? Like seriously? Okay, spoiler alert, this video is gonna be very geeky, very nerdy, and yeah, please don't click away. Thank you. Yay. Like seriously, it's astrophysics, so.
To begin, we need to first establish how large Mario's Earth and Moon are and how far these celestial bodies are away from each other. Now, by this point, you guys know how many headaches the Mario franchise causes me on the pixel measurement side. From shifting heights to...
About Wario! Because Wario height is not 10 anymore!
wacky gravity, Mario isn't fighting Bowser so much as he's constantly fighting against my math. But determining the size of his planet in this game, this was the straw that broke the camel's back. I thought for sure that there would be a way to do it between all the maps and globes that are present in the game's marketing and in the game itself. And let me tell you, I tried. I tried measuring pixels, but we had no consistently sized reference points. I tried measuring steps, but none of the stages allow you to truly see a whole continent. We attempted Al-Biruni's method, the Iranian scholar who determined the radius of the Earth by observing the heights of mountains, but without being...
Wow, that is awesome. No, seriously, very remarkable.
Being able to reach a point on the horizon, we actually couldn't establish a distance between anything. I examined the globes, the brochures, the start screen, the opening menu, promotional materials for this damn game, so many different things. But damn it, Nintendo, you always have to make it difficult. So you know what? I gave up. You heard that right, I threw in the towel. To my knowledge, there is no definitive way in this game to prove the actual size of Mario's planet and his moon. And I invite you all to try. Consider this the Mario Odyssey challenge. If you figure it out, we can do an episode dedicated to you and your math. And no,
this episode is made entirely by you. Yay!
oh, let me just nip this one in the bud right now. You can't assume that the hat ship on the overworld map is actual size. That would make the proportions of this globe absolutely absurd, and wouldn't actually match up with what we see in game, where the actual hat ship or Bowser ship are much smaller relative to the actual size of the continent. Just throwing that one out there.
No assumptions of something so ridiculous.
Seriously, I feel like I tried everything here. However, just because I gave up on the measurement doesn't mean that the theory itself was in the pooper. Doing this for as long as I have, I know that there's more than one way to skin a Mario.
Okay, so not sure if you know, right? The phrase is there's more than one way to skin a cat. So he phrased it that there's more than one way to skin a Mario. Seriously?
Oh boy, that's a gruesome image. Sorry, that didn't come out right at all. Anyway, the key to this theory is the Roche limit, a theory concept.
The Roche limit. The more you know. The Roche limit.
First proposed by game theorist Reddit user Johnson and John Cena. For those of you who don't know, there's a magical distance a moon has to be away from a planet to remain a moon. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, think about it this way. Any planet or moon is held together by its own gravity, right? That's why all of these things are balls. All the stuff in the planet is being pulled towards the center, making it an orb in space. But remember,
Mickey, an orb in space. Wait, one more time. Making it an orb in space. Oh my god, what am I doing?
everything has gravity. Big things like the Earth, smaller things like the Moon, even really small stuff like you or me, we all have those gravitational forces that act on each other. For instance, the Earth, under the influence of the Moon's gravity, has whole continents raised about 50 centimeters because of the Moon's pull on Earth. And conversely, the Moon's surface shifts by about 5 meters towards the Earth in response to Earth's gravitational pull. And to make those facts even more incredible, remember, right now the Moon orbits the Earth at an average distance of about 384,000 kilometers.
On an average of 384,000 kilometers away from Earth on average.
Or 238,000 miles.
Really love that he mentioned both kilometers and miles in the same videos. Awesome.
That is how strong the force of gravity is. So that begs the question, what happens when you bring those two objects closer together, where the big object, like the Earth, with lots of gravity, is able to pull even harder on the small object with less gravity, like the Moon? Well, something unexpected actually. The Moon would get ripped to pieces because the Earth's gravity is stronger than the gravitational forces that are holding the Moon together.
That means the Moon will not be able to contain itself as a moon, so it will technically shatter, I guess, and slowly collapse into Earth. It's like Thanos and versus Iron Man. You know when they just pull down back Infinity War. Wow! My gosh! Huh.
You ever wonder how Saturn got its rings? This is believed to be why. A small moonlet happened to orbit too close to Saturn and was pulled apart by gravity, with the pieces now orbiting the planet as rings. And this, loyal theorists, defines the Roche limit.
The Roche limit.
Distance away from a planet an orbiting body needs to be to not be torn apart by the planet's gravity. The Earth's Roche limit is 18,470 kilometers, or about 11,470 miles.
Love it that he mentioned both kilometers and miles again. So yeah, thank you. Alright, so it is 18,470 kilometers, or maybe around 11,470 miles for the Roche limit for Earth. Okay.
That's about 1/20th the distance that the moon orbits at now. So if it ever ventured within that 18,000 kilometer limit, it would be pulled apart and the Earth would suddenly have itself some rings. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how humanity could finally achieve its final form by blinging out our own planet. We liked it, and so we decided to put some lunar rings on it. Which brings us back to...
Oh my god, that reference. If you like it, should put a ring on it.
Odyssey. You ever stop to wonder why we're collecting moons instead of stars in this game? Could it be that what we're seeing here is early signs that Mario's moon is being ripped apart because it's orbiting within the mushroom planet's Roche limit? You probably haven't stopped and wondered that, and for as absurd as it might sound, it absolutely seems to be the case here. Notice those huge chunks of space rock scattered across the mushroom planet? We know for a fact that those are coming from the moon, not only via their name, but also from seeing them on the moon itself. But to truly know for sure, we need to determine the Roche limit of Mario's Earth in the game, and then see where the moon falls relative to it. Now, as you can imagine, that involves a lot of math, so I'll try to cut out anything that isn't too interesting. Scientists are Little Mooners, sponsor of the day, but hey, that's just a theory. I'm sorry, maybe I cut out a bit too much.
Fast forward. Ding. Okay, joke aside. Let's get on with the video.
There. In all seriousness though, the Roche limit of a planet is equal to 2.4 times radius of the larger object times the cube root of the density of the larger object divided by the density of the smaller object. And as you can probably tell, there is a lot of stuff in that equation that we don't know.
True. There's a lot of equations that we don't know. The radius, the density.
I mean, I just admitted 2 paragraphs ago to not being able to find the size of the planet. So without that, how do we have even a ghost of a chance of figuring out the radius of the planet, let alone the density of the planet? And then we gotta do the same thing with the moon. Well, as it turns out, we don't actually need the exact distances as long as a common unit is used throughout all of these calculations. So stick with me here and let's just base everything off the moon's radius. Give it a variable, let's call it little r. Now, as you zoom out to the overworld map, there are 2 frames where Mario's moon and the planet are side by side. And that's important so perspective doesn't distort their ratios. Taking pixel measurements from both of these frames, we can see that the moon's radius is about 30% of the radius of the planet. Now, earlier when I issued you the Mario Odyssey challenge, I said that the ratios on the screen might not be 100% true, but luckily we can also double check this. In New Donk City, there's a model of the Earth and the moon on the ground in front of City Hall.
Awesome. It's very good that you are able to double check your measurements. Wonderful.
And wouldn't you know it, but once again, the math checks out. In this model, the radius of the Earth is determined to be 3.3 moon radii. And with that, we can say that the moon radius equals little r, and Mario's planet radius equals 3.3 times little r.
3.3 times.
Since we're eventually working our way to finding density, the next step is to find the mass of both Mario's Earth and Mario's moon, which again seems like it should be impossible, but luckily we have another secret backdoor here: gravity. You see, when it comes to finding the properties of planets and stars, there are a lot of different formulas that we can use, since, you know, there's no actual way for scientists to weigh a planet without using some form of math. So here we can use gravity to calculate the mass by using the following equation: mass equals acceleration times radius squared over the gravitational constant.
That is correct. Mass equals acceleration times radius squared over the gravitational constant.
That acceleration right there, it's as...
The more you know. The more you know. Oh my god, this is so nerdy. Oh.
easy as finding out how fast Mario falls after jumping. First on the Mushroom Planet, and then again on the moon. Something we've done a bunch of times here on the channel, especially back in my episode covering Mario's performance at the Olympics, where we found that the Mushroom Kingdom's gravity is more extreme than Jupiter's. Anyway, for that, all we need is the distance that Mario is falling and the time it takes him to fall. Plug those numbers into this equation and we get, holy jeez! On his home planet, Mario's normal jump has a downward acceleration of 70.16 meters per second squared. That is well over 7 times Earth's normal gravity.
Yes, Earth gravity is, we normally round up to two significant figure is 9.81 meters per second square, but you can just say 9.807 per meter per second square. Yeah, on average out, for me I normally say 9.81. Yeah, anyways, there's significant difference.
It is 3 times Jupiter's gravity, and it's over double what it's been in any other 3D Mario game. If you're wondering why Mario feels heavier and falls faster in this game, well then, there you go. It's not Mario packing in the cannoli, it's his planet putting on the poundage. We do the same thing on the moon, and we get an acceleration of 11.74 meters per second.
Still larger than Earth's gravity of 9.81, okay, actually not, 9.807 meter per second square. But it's still doable, it's technically still doable. It's doable for average life, just that we have to change a lot of stuff.
Squared. 1.19 g-forces, which is pretty incredible when you think about it. This right here, this is how much Mario would be able to jump if he were subjected to our measly gravity. Now with those accelerations in hand, we go all the way back to mass for both the planet and the moon. Since this is just some basic calculations, let me just burn through this quickly by speeding things up. Jumping the acceleration numbers, making sure to leave 3.3 r for radius of the planet when calculating for Mario's Earth, and just regular old little r when calculating for the moon, and we get ourselves a mass of 1.14 times 10 to the 13th r squared kilograms for the planet, 1.75 times 10 to the 11th r squared kilograms for the moon. Now, with the mass and radius of each body determining the density, the final part of the Roche limit equation is a snap. Density, remember, is just a trip to the DMV. D equals m over v. Mass.
DMV, distance equals to mass.
The object divided by the volume of the
density equals to mass divided by volume.
Object. Volume of the sphere, which applies to both the moon and the Earth, is calculated at 4/3 pi radius cubed. I won't bore you with the math, it's basically 150.53 r cubed for the Earth and 4.19 radius cubed for the moon, which leads to densities of 7.6 times 10 to the 10th divided by the radius of the moon for the Earth and 4.1 times 10 to the 10th divided by the radius of the moon for the moon. And that finally means that we have all the variables that we need for the Roche limit equation. As a reminder, the Roche limit of a planet is equal to 2.4 times the radius of the larger object times the cube root of the density of the larger object divided by the density of the smaller object.
Yay! That's a lot of equations. Yay! Please tell me I'm not the only one that is enjoying this part of the video. Like, you also like this video, right? This part of the video, right? Right?
Therefore, the Roche limit of Mario's planet is 2.4 times the radius of the larger planet, which is 3.3 r, since remember, it's 3.3 times the radius of the moon, times the cube root of that mess of densities that we just calculated. Don't forget that when you divide a complex fraction, you multiply by the inverse, so those little r's cancel out over there as well as those 10 to the 10ths. You got all that? No? Perfect. Don't worry, you didn't miss a thing. Running through all of those numbers, we see that the Roche limit is equal to 9.66 moon radii. In other words, thanks to all the math that we just ran through, we proved that if Mario's moon is within 9.6 moon radii from the center of his Earth, it will be slowly getting torn apart by Earth's gravity.
You are within the Roche limits. Yeah, you will not be able to exist as a moon. Oh gosh, I missed that. I skip out.
Using the, you can see the Earth, give us ran through, we proved that if Mario's moon is within 9.6 moon radii from the center of his Earth, it will be slowly getting torn apart by Earth's gravity, which would give us the reason why we have hundreds of mini-moons and moon rocks all scattered across the surface of Mario's planet. And you know what? That's exactly what's happening here. You know how in the Moon Kingdom there's a spot where you can see the Earth not so far off in the distance? Well, using that vantage point, it seems pretty obvious that the moon is super close to Mario's planet, so we could just assume it's within that Roche limit, but that's not good enough for me or the standards that I have for this show. So using that vantage point coupled
the standard is not good enough. More
with the in-game compass. You heard that right. Using the in-game compass to measure actual angles, it may seem unbelievable, but it's actually possible to determine the exact distance with trigonometry, chord lengths, and good old SOHCAHTOA.
SOHCAHTOA! Not sure if you know, there's the type of things that we learned in secondary school, my secondary school, so yay, trigonometry.
But since this is the sort of math that I personally never wanted to show up in my life again, and I can only assume like 3 of you actually care about this type of nitty-gritty detail,
Me. The sine, cosine, tangent.
I'll do it as a mini theory if enough of you in the comments are actually excited about that sort of thing. Suffice it to say, running all of those numbers, you get the moon sitting just about 5.5 moon radii away from the Earth, confirming that it's within the Roche limit and that it is getting eaten alive by the planet's gravity. And remember, this isn't hypothetical. This actually isn't just a theory. This is truly how Mario's planet would be behaving relative to Mario's moon. It would be eating it alive. That is insane. And while that goes a long way to explain why moon rocks and multi-moons are scattered everywhere, it also spells out some dire consequences headed straight to Mario's planet. To give you an example, consider this. When our sun starts to burn out and turn into a red giant, it's predicted that our moon will be pulled out of orbit and it'll be pulled closer to Earth, crossing the Roche limit. At that point, it'll be torn apart. On the plus side, it'll give our planet a cool temporary ring. On the downside, it'll shower the planet with huge pieces of moon debris, destroying all sorts of land, throwing tides into chaos, and sending the planet into another wave of extinction as space rocks crash into the surface around the world. Because yeah, while some of those chunks will orbit as
True. That's the unfortunate truth that will definitely occur.
pretty little rings, most of it'll just get pulled down by gravity onto the Earth's surface. And that is the fate that Mario Odyssey has already started to allude to for the Mushroom Kingdom. And that is the fate that is determined for it based on the science. And it's
Mushroom cloud, get it? Get it? Because the mushroom cloud is a cloud that represents mushroom. Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. Oh.
down by gravity onto the Earth's surface. And that is the fate that Mario Odyssey has already started to allude to for the Mushroom Kingdom. And that is the fate that is determined for it based on the science. And it certainly doesn't help that in the final battle, Mario speeds this process along by destroying huge chunks of the moon's core. So enjoy running around to collect those moon rocks while you can, Mario. Pretty soon you won't have a choice as they hurtle themselves towards you. Maybe that's why in Kirby and the Crystal Shards, Shiver Star is a cold dead Earth. Maybe that's why in Kirby Superstar you see Mario traveling the galaxy. He's looking for a new home. Who knows? But all of that needs to be fleshed out in another episode. Wow, so that was a script full of numbers. And speaking
That was a script full of numbers, that is correct. That's very nerdy and very geeky for this episode. I like it.
Speaking of numbers, you know what numbers I'm most excited by? Money-saving numbers. Or, I guess that's a stupid way of me saying numbers of dollars I'm saving when I make purchases. And you know the easiest way to save money while making purchases online? With our sponsor of the day, Honey. Honey is a free browser extension that automatically finds the best coupons on the web, so you get the best prices on everything that you're buying online without having to lift a finger. It is free, it takes 2 clicks to install, and from that moment forward, it's gonna be saving you hundreds of dollars on the stuff that you're buying online. And I really do mean that. A lot of other products would be like, oh, we only work on these obscure websites that you're never gonna use, but that's not the case with Honey. Honey actually works on all the biggest websites, saving you money on everything from pizza to plane tickets to literally anything that you buy on Amazon. And unlike the fictional, yet very exciting numbers that I went through on today's episode, each time you see Honey's numbers tick up, that is literally the money that you would have wasted without using it. It's basically free money. Forever 21, Groupon, Amazon, Papa John's. I mean, this thing works everywhere. Steph and I went shopping the other day for some new clothes on J. Crew's website, and it literally saved her $30 like that. No extra effort. It's just like, hey, you can save money. It's like, yes, I would like to save money. Anyway, there is no reason to not add Honey to your browser right now. Unless, of course, you just like wasting money, but in that case, I will gladly take it off your hands. Or maybe
I will gladly take it over.
set fire to it, which is illegal, but would also be pretty badass. Anyway, it is super easy to install on your browser. Just use my link, joinhoney.com/MattPat. So reward them, reward yourself, start saving money today. That is not a theory, it is a fact. So remember, it's joinhoney.com/MattPat, or smash that top line in the description and treat yourself to a guilt-free shopping trip. Enjoy it now, because in a few million years, the Earth is going to be destroyed by its own moon falling onto itself. So, you know, don't put that money to waste. Just a friendly reminder to let me know in the comments whether you're interested in seeing all that trigonometry calculation, and I will see you next week.
I'm interested in the trigonometry measurements. Yeah. Alright, thank you so much for watching this video. This video is a bit nerdy and geeky, and I apologize if it isn't suited for your style. I'm so sorry. This yeah. Anyways, this video came up from the YouTube channel The Game Theorists, and I do hope that you watch more of their other videos as well. If you don't like my videos, if you do like my videos, please consider to like, share, subscribe, comment, follow my channel. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. But hey, that's just a theory, a game theory. Thanks for watching. Super Mario, Super Mario, Super Mario, Super Mario World. Oh my god, I feel so old.